Oh my gosh, this next one is gonna like make me cry. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry you feel that way. Be unique, be different. I need a little tea break. It's time to get loud. Welcome back to LoudTalk with Lavi, a podcast where we break down the walls of beauty standards one flaw at a time. Thank you so much for joining me today and listening in, or if you're watching on YouTube, hi, how are you? I hope you're having a beautiful day, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this episode of LoudTalk. What episode are we even on today? I think 6? Yeah, I think episode 6, and I think today is going to be a good episode. It's going to be a little more heavy, but I think a very important episode. I'm going to get right into it. We're going to be talking about insecurities today and why we are insecure, where insecurities can stem from, what we are insecure about. I asked a lot of you over on Instagram what some of your insecurities are, and I'm going to open up about some of mine, and we're going to have a really open and honest conversation around this topic. And it's not going to be the easiest to talk about, and it may not be the easiest to listen to and kind of reflect on, but I think it's a topic that's very important, and it's something that we should be able to talk about and shouldn't be so like taboo and kind of hidden. I think we should be allowed to openly talk about this and learn from it, and this is the only way that we're going to be able to kind of get over some of those insecurities and be able to, grow our confidence and move past these insecurities is by talking about them. And I think, yes, this can be a very hard conversation to have, but I think it's a very important one, and we're definitely going to get loud with this topic today. So let's just dive on in. Of course, like I start every podcast, I'm going to start off with something I love about my skin today, or love about myself, and something I haven't been loving so much, just to kind of normalize, good days and bad days, but always giving you kind of my coping mechanisms of how I get out of those bad days. So something I've been loving about myself, I've been like on a work grind recently. I feel so fulfilled in my work, and I'm really proud of my kind of stamina in this sense. I'm very proud of my work ethic and very proud of my determination to keep strutting forward no matter what. And I think I have kind of been letting myself be let down by social media lately, because I do find myself putting a lot of energy into the numbers and how like the algorithm is pushing out my content and all of that. And recently I did go on a brand trip, and I started to get a little bit of that imposter syndrome. And even when I got back, I was like, I've been doing this content creating thing for like 9 years now. Can't believe it's been 9 years. And although I feel very fulfilled and like I'm achieving my goals, I also felt like, wow, like I've been doing this for so long. Like, what am I getting out of it? And I really had to sit back and reflect. And what I'm happy about is that I'm making sure that I'm validating myself for my hard work and, patting myself on the back for my achievements and not getting down on myself for not doing more, And I think I do have a lot on my plate, but recognizing the areas that I do want to grow in and putting time and energy into those areas is what's important. So I'm proud of myself for that. But on the back end of it, I have been getting kind of in my head about the algorithm and views and all this stuff, and like, is this month as good as last month, and can I do more, and can I do more deals, and can I, expand to other platforms and all this stuff. And I have to like kind of take a step back and be like, okay, you're doing just fine, like you're doing great, and kind of keeping in that mindset. So that's kind of my like high and low on myself this week. We kind of went more career oriented than like my skin. My skin's doing pretty good right now. I have some hormonal breakouts, but I decided to go a little more light coverage today on the makeup to talk about, some of my insecurities, and I thought it was pretty fitting for this episode to kind of let my skin show if you're watching on YouTube. So let's get into this. I asked you guys on Instagram what you are insecure about and why. I put a little like questionnaire up, and it honestly made me so sad because I don't think I've ever gotten this many responses on like a questionnaire that I've put up on Instagram. And what really makes me sad about this is I post a lot of these questionnaires like on a pretty like weekly basis, I would say, asking you guys, what do you love about yourself today? And I don't get half the responses that I do when I post something like this, asking you what you're insecure about. And that kind of brings me to my first topic of discussion, which is we are so often more likely to criticize ourselves and pick ourselves apart and bully ourselves down to the ground than we are to raise ourselves up and praise ourselves for our accomplishments or how we look or hype ourselves up. We're so much more likely to be kind of that person that drags us down and hates on ourselves rather than our hype man. And when you think about it, it's kind of sad, right? Like, you should be your biggest supporter, you should be your biggest fan, but somehow, because of the way like we're wired and because of the society we live in, it's not that way. In most cases, we're often the ones who are going to be the hardest on ourselves, and it can be good to be hard on yourself because it pushes you to be better. But when you're always, like putting yourself down, you're not really like helping yourself grow, So there's definitely like that healthy balance of, pushing yourself and critiquing yourself to become better. But if this is like a constant thing where you're just constantly pushing yourself down and putting yourself down, it's like you're really not supporting yourself, So I think it's very interesting, and I was honestly a bit shocked by the response on this questionnaire and the answers I got, and we're going to go through some of them. I'm obviously going to keep them anonymous in this video, just like for people's like privacy and all of that. But I was shocked by so many responses because I was hoping that it wouldn't be that way. But knowing our society and how we're wired, I half expected, to get so many more responses when I ask you guys what you don't like about yourself versus when I ask you what you do love about yourself. So yeah, I got a lot of responses and we're going to go through them. But before we go through those, I do want to talk about like what an insecurity is. So first of all, reading directly off from a dictionary, insecurity is uncertainty or anxiety about oneself, a lack of confidence. So basically we become insecure when there's something that we're unsure of. This often stems from confidence, and it's something we're not confident in. And there's different types of insecurity. There are, personal insecurities that can come from, how you look or your attitude or personality traits that you don't like about yourself. So anything to do with your personal self, appearance, like internal mind, all of that can be an insecurity. Next up, professional insecurity. So this feeling like you are not enough in your profession, or you're not smart enough, or you're not making enough money, or you don't have enough goals and aspirations. Like all of those things can fit into, professional insecurity. And this is kind of what I was talking about a few minutes ago when I was reflecting on some of the work I've been doing recently. I was kind of getting in that, professional insecurity mindset, and I really had to reflect back and be like, I'm doing good, and I had to pull myself out of the ground and become my biggest hype man again, right? Because you have to be your own biggest supporter. You just have to. So that's the second type of insecurity, professional. And then the third is typically relationship insecurity. So this is when it comes to like really any relationship with a partner or with a friend or a family member. Feeling insecure in that relationship stems from a lot of things, typically from your childhood. I'm not going to get into it too deep because I'm no like therapist or anything. I'm not a professional in this aspect, and I'm definitely going to stick to more of the personal insecurity in this podcast. But I did want to touch on that and, bring it to the discussion that there are many different types of insecurity, and insecurity can come in many different forms, and you can kind of get that lack of confidence in many different aspects in your life. And when it comes to a relationship, you can definitely feel like you're not enough, and this can kind of meld And this can kind of meld into the others as well, right? Like you can have insecurity in your relationship because you feel personally insecure. And I think this is a situation that a lot of people see, right? And that's why everyone always says like you need to love yourself before you can give your love to someone else, because you need to be secure in your own person. So there's definitely a lot of meshing between these three insecurity types, and it can definitely have a huge effect. And I think especially with personal insecurity, this can definitely bleed into other aspects of your life and cause issues and lack of confidence in your professional life, in your relationship life, in your personal life. Like there's so many different things that this personal insecurity can really bleed into and affect. And I really want to talk about not only these insecurities and how they make us feel, but also towards the end of this podcast, how you can get out of that and start working like little by little, day by day on this journey of gaining a little bit more self-confidence every day to be able to beat down that insecurity and make sure that it doesn't flood, your whole mind. It doesn't take up all your energy throughout the day and you're able to kind of overcome it. So I definitely want to get into all of that and kind of my tips there, but let's go through some of these insecurities because I think they might blow your mind away. So I'm going to start off with my own personal insecurities. Now, I have been on this journey of, finding self-confidence and really learning that eternal love for myself, and really learning how to love myself no matter the skin I'm in, no matter what I'm going through, and just being my biggest fan. But I'm human. I still have insecurities, and those thoughts still creep into my mind every single day, but it's how I kind of overcome them and how I make sure that I'm, dealing with those thoughts that matters. But one of my biggest insecurities for sure is my skin. I've been struggling with hormonal and cystic acne ever since I was like 13, but this past year after coming off of hormonal birth control, I had a huge flare up on my face, and I'm left with a lot of acne scars right now that kind of are just kind of all over. I do have some makeup on, but you can definitely still see them, and I can definitely become insecure about how my skin looks, especially when I'm out in public and looking around at other people's skin, just noticing nobody else here has acne and I'm the only one who has imperfect skin, or I have these indents now in my skin, pitted scarring and all this pigmentation that's going to take, a very long time to heal. Or going on social media and seeing all these people with perfectly smooth skin. Now, it's very easy for me to get in that mindset and beating myself down over my skin, but I think one thing that has really, really helped me with social media especially is following people that look like me. And I talked about this in episode 2 of LoudTalk with Angelina Rivera. She was one of our guests here. And we talked about, curating your social media and cleansing your social media to have only people that look like you. And this is really going to help you. And this has really helped me. Seeing more people with textured skin and imperfect skin has really helped me become a bit more confident, because I look at these other people and I'm like, you are beautiful, you are beautiful, and I don't see their flaws. I see so much more past that. But then when you look at yourself in the mirror, you pick out all those flaws and you really see them. So I think following other people that look like you can make you love yourself a little bit more for sure. And next thing that's really helped me is kind of realizing that my happiness doesn't depend on my clear skin, because I've had clear skin and I wasn't any more happy than I am now. If anything, I'm way more happy now in maybe the worst state my skin has ever been than I was when I had perfectly clear skin. So it really goes to show these physical appearances that we may be insecure about really don't have that huge of effect on our happiness when we take a step back. We may think they do, and we may think they're the end of the world, but when you really take a step back, it really is so insignificant in the grand scheme of things in terms of how your happiness is really going to evolve and flourish. What else? There's lots of things I'm insecure about. My hair, I feel like I'm under a lot of stress all the time, and I'm definitely deficient in something right now. I need to go get my blood work done, but I've been noticing quite a few gray hairs popping up, and I'm 21. I'm very young, and I know it's normal for a lot of people to start graying early, especially if they have a deficit. And I definitely need to go get my blood work done to kind of check that all out. But that's something I've kind of become more insecure about lately, because I'm oh my gosh, is it super noticeable? Oh my, is everyone looking? So it's definitely become an insecurity that's kind of surfaced, and I just have to remember this is what I'm dealing with right now. I can go figure out an issue, like if I want, like I can dye my hair, whatever. But for right now, I don't really care that much, to be honest with you. And I think that's a good mindset to kind of start trying to adopt, is like, stop giving a fuck what other people think about you. And trust me, you will be a lot happier and more secure in yourself once you stop putting energy into what other people think about you, because they are not important, especially like random people on social media or on the street. Like, who are they in your life, and who are they to tell you like how you should look or whatever? So that's my number one tip for here. Like, stop giving a fuck about what people have to say about you, because it really does not matter, and that's a huge thing that can make you insecure. You're putting so much energy into these people and their opinions that aren't helping you in any way. What else am I insecure about? I feel like every time the time of month comes around, I get super bloated, and then I get so down on myself because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like I've been working out and I just like, you know, like I get more bloated, my tummy looks bigger, and then I'm like, what the heck? Like after a few days it goes back to normal, and I'm like, why was I getting so like riled up on this, you know? So things like that come and go, and obviously there's things like every day that I can become insecure about. Sometimes even like my thin lips, like I feel like especially with social media, everyone has like these big juicy full lips and everyone's getting filler and everything, and honestly, like, I kind of love my thin lips, but I can definitely sometimes get into that mindset where I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of insecure about this, you know? Or I kind of like, what would I look like if I had bigger lips? Like, would I look better, right? But I think you have to always remember, like, you are perfect just the way you are. If you want to, you know, change something about yourself, go for it, but you don't have to. It's not going to like change your worth, you know? But I'm always like putting that out there because I think it's really important. Like, yes, you can, you know, play with makeup and dye your hair different colors and get extensions or do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel better, but you should still try to really work on feeling confident in your body, even if you're like have goals in mind, like working out or whatever it is. Like, have those goals in mind, and you can definitely like alter your appearance, but still learn to love yourself at every stage of the journey, and don't just like put in your mind that, oh, I'm gonna love myself when I reach this goal or when I reach this like appearance, because if you already have that internal confidence and that love for yourself throughout the journey, when you get to that point, you're gonna be like so much more happy, you know, and it's not just gonna be like superficial surface level happiness, it'll be like really deep internal happiness. So I think that's super important. I need a little tea break. I feel like I talk so much in these podcasts and I just go like and then like an hour goes by and it's like already over. It's crazy. All right, so I'm gonna read some of these insecurities that people submitted, and let's just talk about them. So someone said they're insecure about the pimples on their back because they've never seen someone with this, and that's like a huge thing we talked about, right? Like, we get insecure about things that we think that we're the only people on the planet with, right? Like that everyone else has a perfect back and no one else has back acne. I can tell you right now, I got pimples on my back for sure, especially like I find in the summer, like when I'm sweating a lot and I have like clothes on my back, like definitely I get those back pimples. It's so normal. Or when I wear my hair down a lot on my back, I definitely break out. So trust me, you're not the only one out there. I definitely have it, and I know a lot other people who have pimples on their back too. So it's so normal, and it's definitely something you do not need to be insecure about. But I understand it, and I understand where it stems from. But just try to remember that it's completely normal, and a lot of people actually experience that. Someone said the job I have because it makes me feel like I'm not smart or successful enough, and kind of that professional insecurity I was talking about, right? Like, we compare ourselves to others so much, and we see like other people in their career or whatever, and we're like, oh my gosh, like they're flourishing in their career, or they're making this much money, or they're doing this job. It's like, why can't I have that, right? But we have to remember that we only see small snippets of other people's lives, right? The people around us in our lives, or the people we see on social media, we only see the small amounts. And even if you have friends in your life, maybe you've had them in your life for a really long time, but other friends you might have had like for a short amount of time, right? And you see that window of their life. I just encourage you in this situation to make sure that you are following your dreams and following your goals. And if you don't like your job right now, like, battle through it, show up every day, but try to find something else that will kind of bring you that happiness, right? And try to kind of make that into a career. And you are smart enough, and you are enough. No matter, you know, what job you have right now, you are smart enough, and you are worthy enough to have a job that you feel confident and fulfilled in as well. Someone said they're insecure about their eyebrows because they are so thin and they disappear in pictures. Did you guys not see that whole trend that went around with thin brows and how everyone was using a thin brow filter? And I find this so funny because, not funny, but it's just like kind of crazy because we get so insecure about some things and then they turn into a trend or everyone else is trying to achieve it. So honestly, I bet your thin brows look absolutely stunning, and you just gotta think like how many people are trying to get my thin brows using a filter or actually plucking them down or using concealer and makeup to make their brows thinner. So your brows are beautiful and they're unique to you and you have them naturally. You don't need to, put on a filter or whatever. Like, you have that. So definitely embrace it, and I'm sure you look absolutely stunning. Someone said wait because it is judged. And this is such a touchy topic, like the whole body positivity realm, because there is so much judgment there. And I think what people don't understand is we're not all built the same. We all have such different body types and we all carry weight so differently. Someone could literally be the exact same weight, like on a scale, but look completely different. And I think especially in women and even men, I think it should be something that is talked about and kind of normalized, because it's, again, normal, and I'm sorry you feel judged for that, but I can tell you your body is beautiful no matter your weight. I can tell you that right now. And the people who are judging you for it, they have their own insecurities that they're battling, and unfortunately instead of dealing with those insecurities, they're choosing to bully and put down other people. And the people that will truly matter in your life will love you no matter what weight you are. You know what I mean? Someone said acne because everyone makes fun of it. A few other people said acne. Someone said they feel ashamed and they feel bad because a lot of people make fun of them. Again, right? Like, people will make fun of you because they have their own insecurities that they're dealing with, that they're not like strong enough to deal with yet. So they're going to put you down and make you feel ashamed for something that you cannot control. And that's why I say, like, find a community, find people who are going through this with you. And I'm so glad that you are on my Instagram. Please join my Discord server. We can chat about this. Join the podcast so we can chat about this. Like, I want this to be a super open space where we can talk about this stuff. And acne is so normal. Like, 80% of, people deal with acne at some point or another in their life, and especially in Western civilizations, acne is very, very common due to like the food and the environment we live in and all of that, and our, like, a lot of us struggle with those hormonal imbalances and stuff, so it's a very normal thing to experience. And I just think it's so silly for someone to like make fun of you for some like spots on your face. Like, what does that have to do with anything of who you are as a person and what you're worth and what you're capable of doing, right? So yeah, it does not take away from any of your beauty, and I'm so sorry that people are making fun of it. That's just, it's not okay. It truly isn't okay. A lot of people, like, in these responses are bringing up acne, and like 80% of people experience acne at one point or another in their lifetime, and no one has like perfect skin, and everyone has like pores or blackheads and stuff like that. Like, we all have that. We all have hair on our face, peach fuzz, all of that. Like, no one has that perfect glass skin that you see on social media. And maybe, yeah, some people have more imperfect skin than others, some people have more blemishes and stuff, but it doesn't take away your worth. And someone with clearer skin than you does not have more worth than you just because you have more breakouts. And again, a lot of people in these responses are saying that they feel alone with their acne. They feel like they have no one else out there that has acne because everyone around them has clear skin. And this is something that's really hard to deal with and something I really struggled with and still to this day struggle with, but have gotten a bit better at managing, because I realize a lot of people do go on Accutane or have kind of gone through acne and healed their acne but don't talk about it. It's not like a very talked about thing, so then you just see them and they have clear skin and that's it. But then you go on social media and you just need to find the people that are also going through acne or going through skin issues or whatever other insecurity you're going through. Find someone like that on social media, reach out to them or use them kind of as your support and as well as their viewers. And I promise you, kind of consuming that kind of content and surrounding yourself with people like that in your life will help you, because you'll realize, I shouldn't even be insecure about this, because while you look at someone else and you see them, do you see their acne? Yeah, you like see it as an observation, as you would like their brown hair or their blue eyes, but You don't see them as, oh, that person is their acne. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see them for their acne. You see them. You see who they are and who they are as a person and their worth, and you see past their acne because you see every other beautiful thing that there is about them and every other beautiful feature. So I think you need to start looking at yourself like that and treat yourself like you are another person. Look at yourself in the mirror and find the things that you would find beautiful in other people. I know it's hard. I know it's really hard to love yourself and find those things in yourself. It's so much easier to find those things that you love in other people and compare yourself to that. But really, really try to look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I love this feature about myself, and start focusing more on the things you love about yourself rather than the things you dislike. And hopefully, as you keep doing these exercises on a more daily basis, the things you like about yourself will kind of outweigh the things you don't like, you know? Getting back to this, yeah, a lot of people say that their acne makes them feel ugly and unwanted and unworthy, and that they don't like talking to people that don't have acne. And again, it's that feeling that you're the only one going through this. And I wanted to touch on the feeling unwanted part, because a lot of people ask me, you know, how do you go about dating with acne, or how do you go about talking to people when your acne is showing? And you just got to realize, like, the people who are important and will value you truly for who you are those who won't focus on what you look like and your skin and if you have breakouts at that moment. And I think that's a really, really important thing to realize. And I highly encourage you to kind of take a reflection on who you have in your life. And, you know, if there's someone out there who's really putting you down for how your skin looks, maybe it's time to cut that person off. I don't know. Just my advice over here. Okay, what's some other insecurities? Someone said their face shape makes them insecure because their side profile is like a diamond, because their nose sticks out and their mouth is tiny. I think that face shape just makes you so unique, you know? And I think this, again, is one of the issues I see with social media, is because we only see one type of person. We see someone with perfectly flawless skin, with big juicy lips, with a tiny button nose, with the, you know, the side profile where, you know, their chin and mouth kind of comes out a bit more, super high cheekbones, perfectly shaped eyebrows, not another hair on their face other than really long lashes and really, you know, thick and perfectly shaped eyebrows, no dark spots, no under eye bags, and all of this stuff, you know. And that's all we see on social media. We see this, like, this mold, but that's because you need to kind of expand your view and find those other people out there who have these unique features that are maybe different than this society social beauty standard mold that is set out there. Someone else mentioned here that their nose bump makes them insecure, and they feel like it makes them look more masculine, and it doesn't make them look pretty. Well, I think, like, honestly, I think nose bumps are really unique, honestly. I don't have that type of nose, but every time I see them, I think they just look so, like, beautiful and, like, strong. And you mentioned masculine here, but there are so many, like, masculine and feminine traits that, like, we all have, I would say. And when you kind of have that mix, I don't know, it creates a really, really beautiful look on the face, in my opinion. So I don't think you should be insecure about your nose bump. So many people have, you know, kind of that more angled shaped nose, and I think honestly it looks so beautiful. Someone said their accent makes them feel insecure. Honestly, like, I know how that can feel, but I think the fact that you have an accent means that you're bilingual or trilingual maybe, and that in itself is such a cool thing. I'm also bilingual, and I think you should be so proud of that, whether you have an accent or not. I know in my native language, in my, like, home language, I have an accent because I've been speaking English for, like, the majority of my life. And, like, yeah, it's a little embarrassing because people might be like, oh my gosh, she, like, doesn't even know how to speak, but it doesn't take away from, like, my brains, you know. Like, I still am trying my best out here, you know. And an accent is something that you can't really control, right, unless you, like, force your voice into something else. So it's out of your control, and you are doing so great. Like, the fact that you speak 2 languages is so cool and something you should be proud of. And most of the people out there that are gonna make fun of your accent do not know how to speak another language, so do not listen to any of those people. Their opinion, irrelevant. A few people mentioned their skin, their scars, their acne, big forehead, body hair, and do we see how, like, these are all such normal human things, like body hair. Like, so many women out there are insecure about their body hair, but it's like, we naturally grow hair on our bodies. I am Eastern European. I have dark hair. I grow body hair, and it's dark and it's coarse and it's thick. Like, I grow hair on my arms, my legs get really hairy. Like, I have body hair even on my face, like especially like up here. I get some like darker hairs like around my chin, my eyebrows I have to do all the time, but it's like, this is a normal part of my body, and I don't think we should be insecure about it. You can choose to remove your body hair or not. I choose to remove mine, but I still don't think we should really be insecure about it, because again, it's this society like mold that's set out for us that women should be hairless, completely smooth. But it's like, who the hell is like that? Like, natural, you know, like, who, like, if you are born with thicker hair, like, you are naturally gonna have hair on your arms and you're gonna have body hair, and it's like, we should not be ashamed of something that we are just like born with and that we can't control. You know, you can't control how thick your hair is, you can't control how fast it grows. So I think, like, it's just so, I hate that society has made us insecure about these like normal bodily things. It's insane to me. It's really insane. It makes me so sad and just angry, like, at social media and at society standards for making us feel so little and making us feel so worthless because of normal things that we have, like acne, like, you know, texture on our skin, like body hair, like different nose shapes or bigger foreheads. Like, these are just part of what makes us us, and they're so human and real, and it aggravates me so much that media and society has made us feel this way. It's insane. Someone said their discoloration on their body makes them feel dirty and ugly. I am so sorry you feel that way. Your discoloration is normal, and everyone has it. I have discoloration on my face, on my arms. Like, it's so normal. Skin is not supposed to be this perfect canvas that is just blank. And someone mentioned earlier that they're insecure about their pale skin. And you gotta remember, like, everyone is so uniquely beautiful, right? So these things that make us different are also what make us, like, uniquely beautiful. And I think it's really important to kind of remember that. And celebrate those things that make you different from others. Like, what's so special about filling a mold, you know, and looking like every other person on social media? Like, be unique, be different, and let your star shine. Someone said they feel insecure about their skin because they feel devalued and makes them feel less beautiful. I am so sorry you feel that way, and it's the worst feeling to feel like you are less worthy and less, like, valuable because of the way you look. And I promise you, that is not true, and you are absolutely gorgeous no matter how your skin looks. And you gotta think, like, would you look at someone and think that they are less of because they have acne or because their skin looks a certain way? And if your answer is no, please do not look at yourself that way, because you are just as valuable. Someone said that they're insecure about being impulsive because they don't recognize themselves anymore when they get angry. Interesting. And I think it's very brave and bold of you to open up about that and kind of recognize that trait. And I think that's definitely something, like, you can kind of work on, but also don't be too hard on yourself, right? We all have personality traits that we kind of grow into and kind of develop, and of course we can, like, work on things and become better. But yeah, I think with that, like, being impulsive, you can kind of work on things too that you want to improve, but also look at it and figure out, okay, well, yeah, I'm impulsive, but what are the benefits of being this way? And what kind of helps me with this, right? Like, for me, I feel like sometimes I'm hella stubborn, and I would say in terms of my work ethic, that's a great thing because I will not give up until something gets done. But in terms of, like, personal relationships, that can become a problem sometimes, right? So I know that's something I need to work on, and I'm finding ways to work on it while still keeping that, like, a high thing in my work environment. Someone said they feel insecure because of the people around them that have things that they don't have. And this is also a really important topic because I think, especially with social media, we can get into that headspace where we're, like, looking at people online and we're seeing people's highlight reels, right? Like, you have to remember, when you look at someone's Instagram feed or their TikTok or whatever, they're really just posting what they want other people to see of their life, right? They're not going to post their bad days. They're not going to post everything that's going wrong and everything that's a disaster in their life. They're going to post what they want other people to see. So when you're scrolling on social media and you see all these things, or you see all these things people have in terms of like relationships, or I think social media is terrible for portraying relationships because it portrays them as this perfect idealized thing and all these like couple goals and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no relationship is really like that in real life. Like, honestly, like, it's not all like rainbows and sunshine all the time. Relationships are amazing, but they're also hard work. And I think social media does such a terrible job at portraying them and making you feel like your relationship's not enough, or that you are not enough in your relationship. And that's just one start. But other things too, like even just like tangible items, material items, like you see people on social media with all these cars or fancy clothes and all this, and then you look back and you're like, well, I don't have that, right? But like, you don't know the full story sometimes. People lease these things, people rent out designer bags or whatever, like maybe not, but I'm just telling you, like, it's not always the truth. And you see, for me, what really gets me is like these aesthetic ass videos online of these people with the perfect clean apartments, and everything is like matching and everything looks so good, and they're making their matcha in the morning and like everything's just like so perfect. And it's like, I look around like at my life when I'm making my matcha in the morning, it's like, my apartment doesn't look like that, right? I don't have that aesthetic look to things. Like, my lighting isn't always perfect, my drink sometimes doesn't look that pretty, like, but it still tastes good. So I think just realizing like these are things that we see on social media, they're curated. It's a show, it's a performance, right? It's content that we are supposed to consume, but it's not real life. And I think social media cleansing and even just taking a break from that is super important. And what I've learned as a content creator is definitely that social media is deceiving. And even though I'm super real on camera and I show you guys like my real skin and all that, like, things are still a production, right? At the end of the day, like, I sit down, I film a video with good lighting and all of that, right? Like, if I was just doing my makeup on a regular day, I'd probably in my bathroom, there'd be things everywhere, right? So you got to remember that, and you got to think social media is not reality. It's not always reality, and you got to kind of take a step back and think like, okay, these people have this, but like, I also have these other things that I value in my life and that are amazing, you know? Someone said their legs make them feel insecure. They always thought they looked kind of weird when comparing to others. And it's just like crazy to me, right? Like, things that, like, see, I am not insecure about that, but this person might not be insecure about something I'm insecure about, right? Like, they might not be insecure about their legs or their stomach or whatever, but we all have different insecurities, all of us, every single one of us. And if someone has clear, perfect skin, they might be insecure about something else. If someone has, you know, the standard of like beautiful legs, then you're going to compare yourself to that. And I think, like this person mentioned right here, they think that their legs look weird when comparing to others, but it's like, there's nothing wrong with your legs, you know? You have beautiful legs. You have absolutely beautiful legs. And just because they look different than someone else's doesn't mean that your legs look weird or are less beautiful. Oh my gosh, this next one is gonna like make me cry, I swear. Someone literally said that people make fun of their laugh, and they've been told too many times that their laugh is ugly. Oh my gosh. Like, you laugh when you're like joyful and happy and you're just having a good time. So the fact that someone can kind of just like ruin that for you, I'm so sorry about that. And I'm sure your laugh is literally gorgeous. So I really hope that you continue laughing and you continue smiling and you continue spreading that joy. And I promise you that some people will absolutely love your laugh. Just, you need to find those people. Someone said their stomach makes me insecure, bumpy skin texture, and red hyperpigmentation. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I have lots of scarring and hyperpigmentation that left on my skin, but I'm working to, you know, take it down, and it's a slow and steady process, but I can still kind of love my skin, you know, even now through this. So I highly recommend that you kind of try to do that. And skin texture is so normal. It's just not really seen as much on social media, but everyone has some type of texture to the skin. Someone said their smile I hope that you smile. I hope that you smile every day, and I hope that you show the world how beautiful your smile is, and I hope that one day you can look in the mirror and love your smile as much as other people love it, because every smile is beautiful. Because you're smiling, you're happy. It's so, so beautiful. My body type and weight, I feel fat, especially when I travel to Asia. This just got super real. Yeah, I think there's so much like beauty standards, especially different places around the world that you go to, and sometimes we don't fit that mold, you know, that's set there, and I think that's totally okay to be different and to look different and not fit that beauty standard so much. My dark spots, it makes me look dull and unhealthy. I was kind of feeling this way, honestly, recently, I have to admit. Because I was looking at my skin, I'm like, oh, it kind of looks dull and kind of looks lifeless, but it's going like through times, and just last week it was looking super glowy, so it's definitely, you know, it changes. Your face actually changes so much, like as a woman, your face changes so much throughout your menstrual cycle, so I definitely think that, you know, dark spots are normal. There's definitely ways to kind of help take them down, but you're definitely not unhealthy because of them, but I totally understand where that can kind of stem from. We went through a lot of these, hey? It's so hard reading these because it just makes me so sad, like looking at these and knowing that they're coming from such beautiful people, but it really goes to show you that so many of us are insecure about things, and it's so normal to feel insecure. But I really encourage you to just try day by day to work on some of those insecurities and really, really try to look at yourself as if you're a stranger. And you might start seeing those insecurities as a little more insignificant each and every day. And there's a few things I want you to take away from this episode. One, social media is fake. A lot of things you see on social media are curated. They are produced content, and they're not going to show you everything that's real. They're highlight reels. And especially, you know, we see a lot of like the social media and the people that are really brought to the top, they all kind of look the same, you know, and I kind of described that earlier in terms of body, you know, small snatched waist, bigger hips, big boobs, long hair, long silky hair, their skin is perfectly smooth, they have perfect like cute little noses and bigger lips and perfectly shaped eyebrows. So these different like beauty standards, right? And we see that these people that kind of rise to the top kind of all have a similar type body and a, you know, similar face characteristics and all of that. And I think because we're so used to seeing like the same mold on social media, we start to think, oh, well, I don't look like that. When in reality, like if you look at real life, everyone looks so different, so uniquely different. I think that's why kind of going out there and curating your social media to help you is the best thing you can do, because social media can be so damaging and so draining and can really have a toll on your self-confidence. So make sure that you take that power back from social media and curate it to really help you and cleanse your social media, because I think it will be very beneficial. Next, I think self-awareness is really great, and having goals. So if you have personal insecurities that come, you know, like in terms of your attitude, or if you have professional insecurities, set goals for yourself on how you can kind of overcome those insecurities and what you'd like to see improvement in, but still congratulate yourself for your successes and for your achievements up until that point. Don't tear yourself up, but be like critical enough to be able to grow and reach your goals and have that self-growth, but don't be too critical where you're not able to kind of move past it. So definitely have constructive criticism for yourself, but still give yourself that, you know, give yourself that reassurance and that congratulations when it's needed. Number 3, I really want you to take away from this podcast that nobody is perfect. Nobody is, you know, fully confident in themselves. No one has everything. And if they look like they have everything, they are still insecure about something. I promise you. I am 100% sure that probably all of the Kardashians have a bunch of things, a handful of things that they are insecure about, but to us, to the consumers, we think that they are perfect. They have it all. Like, well, like if I just had what one of them had, I would be so happy, and there would be nothing I'd be insecure about, and there'd be nothing I'd be worrying about. Trust me, I'm sure have their own insecurities and their own stressors and their own issues. They are human. They are not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And I really want you to take away that from this today, because I think a lot of people forget that, and we get into this mindset where we think we're the only ones who have these issues. We're the only ones with acne. We're the only ones struggling with our body. But everyone is. No one is perfect. We all experience insecurity, and it's a very, very normal human thing to do. Number 4 is change your attitude where you can. There are certain things that make you insecure that you do not have control over, and I see that is kind of a common theme in terms of the responses I got that we read today. There's a lot of stuff in there that those people did not have control of, but they're things that make them insecure and unhappy. And I want you to just try to stop basing your happiness on these things you can't control, and try to start changing your attitude a little bit more, and turn your attitude around and start just seeing the light in those things. And I definitely encourage you to try to look at yourself as a stranger, because this might help you, and you might be able to recognize the things that you love about yourself a little bit more and kind of dig those things up, because sometimes they're buried in there, right? Like, we focus so much about what we hate about ourselves for ourselves, that the things we actually love are so buried down, whereas for other people, those are usually the surface things, right? So be kind to yourself, love yourself, and treat yourself. People always say, treat yourself how you want to, or like treat others how you want to be treated. Treat yourself how you treat others in this situation. I think that's really important, because you wouldn't point out those things on another person. And I think you should just try to be a little bit nicer to yourself. That's something I really want you to take away from this podcast, is just be a little bit nicer to yourself and really dig deep on things that you love about yourself, and whether you choose to journal that, or really like just talk into a mirror about it, or with a friend, and kind of share the things that maybe the characteristics you love about each other, and realize that these things that you are insecure about other people might love, I think is really important. And there's definitely some stuff that we looked at today, like, that are honestly like trends, like thin eyebrows, or different shapes, or different shaped noses, or different body types. Like, these are probably things that other people strive toward that you're insecure about. So I like to kind of have that mindset sometimes too. Like, if I get insecure about something, it's like, well, someone else is probably looking at me and thinking, oh, like, she has it all, and I'm getting insecure about it. And I'm looking at someone else and thinking, oh, they have it all, and they have their own insecurities, right? So it's kind of this domino effect. And if you just kind of look at yourself and set yourself up as your own beauty standard, be your own beauty standard this year, and take that forward. Stop conforming to all these societal and social media beauty standards, and just become your own beauty standard. And trust me, you're going to be a lot more confident, a lot more happy, because you're going to be comparing yourself to yourself. Because you shouldn't compare yourself to others, because they're not you and you're not them, so you're really just comparing like apples to oranges there. Compare yourself to yourself, right? If you have goals for yourself on how you want to look, or in your professional life, or in your relationships, or your attitude, compare yourself to achieve those goals, and don't really blankly compare yourself to someone else like a blueprint, because you're not that person, and you're not going to look the same as them. But they have their own things that they're working on, and you have your own things you're working on, and we should all just lift each other up in that, but also make sure that we are being our own biggest hype mans. You should be your own biggest fan. And I think that's definitely something I want you to definitely take away from this podcast, and realize that being insecure about things is totally human and totally normal. And it's not, the goal here is not to never have a bad day and never feel insecure about anything. I have a lot of confidence that I've built up, but I've definitely still get insecure about things, and that's a totally normal thing to do. But it's just the amount maybe, and how much we let it consume us, right? If you get insecure about something and kind of snap out of it in a few seconds and get yourself back on track to loving yourself, I think that's the goal. Or just really minimizing how much of your energy gets consumed on your insecurities. That's definitely a goal I want you to have. And I hope that you join me along this journey of becoming your most confident self, little by little, every single day. And I want it to start with something you love about yourself today. I want you to put down below in the comments. I want 3 things, actually. Let's do 3 things you love about yourself. And if you're listening in and you're not watching on the YouTube and you're listening on a podcast streaming service, make sure to go to the LoudTalk Instagram or the LoudTalk TikTok and comment on there something you love about yourself today. 3 things if you can. And you can even join the Skin Positivity Discord. I'll put the link for that below, and you can tell me some things you love about yourself there. I'd love to hear some positive vibes, because we read so many insecurities today and kind of, self-hate, that I'd love to hear what you guys actually love about yourselves, and I really encourage you to practice this exercise. I think that's it. I think that is all for this episode of Loud Talk with Lavi. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know this was, a bit of a heavier subject, but I think it's, as I said at the start, a really important one. I'm super happy you got loud about it and were able to open up. And I hope this type of content is helpful to you to get you kind of on that journey of self-confidence. We do have this podcast on the YouTube version if you want to see the visual, on Apple, Spotify, and all your streaming services, and the highlights. If you guys just want to see the snippets of like the best of each podcast, you can go check out the Instagram and TikTok, all at Loud Talk with Lavi. But thank you so much for joining me tonight while I film this. I love you guys all so much, and I want you to know that you are worthy. No matter what insecurities you have, it does not devalue you, and that you are beautiful inside and out. But yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed, and hope you're having a great day or night whenever you're listening in and tuning in, and we'll talk in the next podcast. Don't forget to stay loud in this crazy world. I love you all so much, and I'll be here in next week's episode of Loud Talk every Sunday on all your streaming platforms. Bye guys.